All right, AP, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about Manifest Destiny and some other developments that are going on at the same time that we have all this sectional strife that is happening. So, what is Manifest Destiny? In a nutshell, what it is the belief that Americans had during the first half of the 1800s that it was our God given right to control North America from the Atlantic Ocean across the continent to the Pacific, that all of it was ours for the taking. And that's what we did. We continued to expand and move westward, taking more territory, settling the new territory. So that's when you start getting that image in your mind of the pioneers on the covered wagons, just going out into the Great Plains and going to the Rocky Mountains and crossing them into California. All right, the idea of the gold prospectors moving out west for like the gold rushes that were happening, where people were winning and losing fortunes in a day. All right. So it's a lot that's going on. You have like famous trails and routes to get out there, like the Oregon Trail. So, we got a lot that is happening, and we're going to be just taking a look at some of those examples of Manifest Destiny today. So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to show a little video here that's entertaining but has good information in it.
We're gonna hit the trail to Oregon, Oregon. Gonna pack the fam into a wagon, a wagon. Start off in Missouri and then we're gone, then we're gone. Gonna go to Oregon, gonna go to Oregon. The whole journey is 5 or 6 months long, 6 months long. 2,100 miles, man, that's long, man, that's long. 400,000 settlers went on, they went on. Gonna go to Oregon, gonna go to Oregon. Whoa, Lewis and Clark first across the country. Trappers and traders then made the journey. Marcus Whitman was a missionary that blazed the trail in the 1830s. Waiting out for you there is a ton of free land, 640 acres for a wed man. 1843 sees a great immigration, 1,000 people headed west in wooden wagons. And we rolling, 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 rolling. Pulled by mules and oxen, they be strolling. Packing spare wheels, guns and ammunition. Flour, sugar, coffee, salt and bacon. By April or May, we better get on. Best beyond. Cruise the Great Plains to the Rocky Mountains. First mountain. Through Snake River Canyon to Blue Mountains. More mountains. On the way to Oregon. On the way to Oregon. Dysentery, cholera, starvation. Starvation. Getting shot or crushed under a wagon. No wagon. Attacked by Indians whose land you're on. Land you're on. On the way to Oregon. On the way to Oregon. Whoa. Still with the hardship of the journey, they came with the promise of a better life.
Welcome back, class. I am Mr. Betts, and that was the Oregon Trail done to Post Malone.
All right, so yep, fun, entertaining, but yeah, let's go on. We're going to now talk about one of the not so good experiences that some people had going from, east to west during this time period. The Donner Party. Some of you may have heard of this before, others of you maybe not. If not, you're going to learn now. So, the Donner Party, sometimes called the Donner-Reed Party, was a group of pioneers who were migrating to California by wagon trail from the Midwest, from Missouri. All right, so they leave Missouri on the Oregon Trail in the spring of 1846 behind, a lot of other pioneer families that are trying to make the same trip. Now, the journey west usually would take between 4 and 6 months, but the Donner Party was slowed after deciding to follow a new route called the Hastings Cutoff, which would go around all the established trails and cross over the Rocky Mountains Wasatch Range and the Great Salt Lake Desert, which is in Utah today. Um, what they didn't know is this shortcut, quote unquote, was actually significantly longer or more treacherous than the original trails that people were following to get out west. So the desolate and rugged terrain made it very difficult, and you know they would later encounter while they're traveling along, on one of the rivers that is in present day Nevada. They're going to lose a lot of cattle. They're going to lose some wagons. The people are going to start dividing between them into like little factions against each other. So yeah, that's going to be causing some problems. Now, by early November, they're going to reach the Sierra Nevada, which is a mountain range, and which is like a part of the Rockies, kind of, sort of. So it's like, if you look on the map, it's kind of in this area, I believe. Um, their food supplies are going to run dangerously low, and by mid-December, some of the people from the group have like walked off on foot to try and find help, like by trying to continue to make their way into California. Rescuers from California are going to attempt to reach the Donner Party, but for the first party that tries to get to them with relief supplies, they don't arrive until the middle of February of 1847. That's almost 4 months after they got trapped there. So things are pretty crazy. And the result of this is, of the 83 people that are part of the Donner Party, 45 survived. Some of them would resort to cannibalism to survive, eating the bodies of those who either starved to death, died of sickness, or froze to death. It was a very, very messed up situation. It became national news what these people had to endure, and a number of them would actually be like scorned from society because they participated in the cannibalism. And let's face it, cannibalism is a big time no social taboo. You don't eat people. It's just not something that normal people do. So yeah, pretty crazy situation there. So that's one example of some of the crazy stuff that happened during this time. All right, so moving on, we're now going to have another little video that's pretty entertaining, and so just go ahead and enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Coming up this week, we have Russell Brand, Tracy Morgan, Michael Stipe, Emily Blunt. It's going to be a great week. So excited. It's week 2. Here.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Hey, great show so far, but why haven't you done any jokes about the Gadsden Purchase?
I'm sorry, what?
The Gadsden Purchase, signed in 1854 by President Franklin Pierce, granted the U.S. sovereignty over the southern tips of Arizona and New Mexico. You see, the terrain in the southernmost portion of the Mexican Cession, 1848, was too rocky for the Transcontinental Railroad. So,
Wait, you brought a visual aid. That's you carry that around everywhere you go, or?
I do love the Gadsden Purchase.
Well, if you love this thing so much, why would you want me to make a joke about it?
I mean, you got to be able to laugh at the Gadsden Purchase. I mean, it's what life's all about.
Life is all about laughing at the Gadsden. Maybe that's what your life's about, but I don't see what's so funny about a 150-year-old land treaty.
Well, I mean, just look at all the comedic possibilities. I mean, you got Franklin Pierce, hello, James Gadsden, not to mention topographical issues regarding the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. I mean, the jokes practically write themselves.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
You know what? I just thought of a joke. Do you guys want to hear it? Yeah! All right. What's the only difference between the Gadsden Purchase and the Louisiana Purchase?
I give up. What?
The Louisiana Purchase was signed in 1803 and gave the U.S. 800,000 square miles of French territory, and the Gadsden Purchase didn't suck.
Oh, that's a pretty great joke. Except you forgot the part about how the Gadsden Purchase never would have happened if it weren't for the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Up top, baby.
I'm sorry. Who are you?
I'm that guy's worst nightmare. A guy who loves the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Signed 1848. Ended the Mexican-American War.
Wait, you have the actual treaty with you?
No, but it's a pretty decent replica.
Okay, that is just sad. That's really sad. What do you think about all this?
The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo is nothing more than a poor man's Clayton Bulwer Treaty.
He got you there, buddy.
That's awful cute, beard boy. Now I got a joke for you. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Best treaty in the world.
All right, I think I see where this is going. The best treaty in the world, who?
What are you, stupid? The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Who wants to party?
Hey, just curious, but what do you guys think of the Webster-Ashburton Treaty?
You mean the 1842 treaty that resolved minor boundary disputes between U.S. and Canada?
Yes, negotiated by U.S. Secretary of State Daniel Webster.
I love the Webster-Ashburton Treaty.
Me too. Dad?
I'm not your dad. What? You're like 10 years younger than me.
Would you be my dad?
No! There's too many history nerds in the audience tonight.
All right, so that was entertaining, I'm sure. So, continuing, one of the big pulls for people during this whole Manifest Destiny time period is the California Gold Rush. So basically from 1848 to 1855, we're going to see, 300,000 plus people moving to California because gold was discovered there. And the vast majority of people, we're going to see a huge influx of people during 1849, and those people get nicknamed the 49ers. So for those of you who follow sports, the San Francisco 49ers are named after these gold rush pioneers. All right, so they face a lot of hardships in traveling there, and when they're getting there, we're going to see a lot of immigrants coming from Latin America, from Europe, Australia, China, and the amount of gold that they're finding, tens of billions of dollars worth of gold in today's money was being found and mined out of the ground. So yeah, that's huge money that's being made by some people. Most people not making it rich. Other people are following the gold prospectors, and they are building businesses to sell supplies to the people who are doing the gold mining. So they're making money a different way. Now, the effects of the gold rush are highly significant to California's history. So like San Francisco, which was founded as a mining town, basically. Originally, the settlement had about 200 people, and within 6 years, they are going to basically turn into 36,000 people. And yeah, pretty significant uptick in people getting there. We're going to start seeing railroads being built and more people coming in, staking claims where they are buying a plot of land for them to basically hunt for gold on. We're seeing stuff like that happening all over. As a result, we're seeing a lot of things change with the environment. We're seeing a lot of things change with the animals. such as more cattle and horses being brought into California. We're seeing a decline in a lot of the natural animals that are originally from there, declining in numbers. The native peoples of California, the Indians who were there, we're seeing roughly, we estimate 100,000 die as a result of interactions with the Americans that are moving out to the area. So we're seeing a huge change in the pattern of life that is happening out there. So yeah, it's crazy. Like when you look at this, you see all these mines all over the state. They're everywhere. But of course, the biggest concentrations being in Central California and in Northern California, where there's more rivers and things like that. Because the further south you go, you get into more of the desert type areas. And yeah, it was harsher for people to even be working and living down there. So you kind of got to be a little bit more adventurous to go down to the southern areas. But moving on, we are also going to talk about Pikes Peak Gold Rush. This was out in Colorado, and we're going to see some similar stuff. Not the huge numbers of people, but we are going to see, you know, a good amount of people going to that area, helping settle it for, Westerners. And we're starting to see like people moving more into the Great Plains with areas like this where there's potential for striking it rich. All right. And it's, along the trails that would help you get to California as well. So some people, they're stopping short of California, but they're going to try their luck in Colorado because there's some decent sites out in Colorado for doing some mining, maybe striking it rich. Same thing with the Comstock lode. This is silver that was being found in the Virginia range of Nevada, which was a part of the Utah territory at the time. The Utah territory was much bigger than the state of Utah today. It encompassed what would make up like 4 or 5 states out there. And the silver prospectors, they're scrambling to make claims there so they can strike it rich. And we're going to start seeing, building up of it becomes like a hub on the way to get to California. We're going to start seeing towns building up, and the mines are going to continue for almost 20 years, but they're going to steadily decline by the time we get to the 1920s, as a lot of these mines didn't last very long. All right. There's a couple images here to tie in with the Comstock lode. Now, we are also going to start seeing oil drilling start to happen. So Pennsylvania, we're going to start seeing an oil rush because there is actually a rather large supply of oil that's in the ground in that area and ties into the Ohio River Valley and all. And that is going to start the petroleum industry in the United States, really. And because the oil is being manufactured into kerosene, for fueling lamps, as well as other useful items like for different fuels for fire, essentially, like gases and whatnot. So it becomes a pretty big business for all the people going back and forth, with trains and the covered wagons and everything. And, this is one of the supplies that are going to be needed for going out west. So that's when things like these start popping up all over the place. The oil drills. All right. Pacific Railroad. We're going to start getting the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. This was the railroad that basically runs from the Mississippi River to the West Coast. And, it is going to cut through some harsh terrain. It's going to help cut the travel time significantly going across the continent. And, we're going to see things slow down during the Civil War, obviously, with the construction of this. And most of it's actually going to take place after the construction, after the Civil War, I mean. And yeah, it becomes the first transcontinental railroad in North America. where we are able to quickly move people and things and animals from one side to the other. And it's, one of those great first engineering marvels of transportation that the US really gets undertaking with. Now, we're also going to talk about the Treaty of Wanjia here. And this was an agreement between China and the United States from 1844. And basically, we are trying to have our merchants dealing with Chinese trade and dealing with the British dominance in the Chinese trade market. What we are trying to do is we're trying to get involved with the trade. We want a treaty to get into certain ports, and we are wanting to buy land in some of these ports so we can build churches and hospitals. We want the right to learn Chinese by abolishing a law, that would forbade foreigners to even learn the language, so we can communicate more easily, get better deals, things like that. We are also wanting to be a favored nation so we get better trading deals and better, longer deals. And as a gesture of goodwill towards China, the opium trade is going to be declared illegal, which is good because the British, they actually fought opium wars against China. Opium is it's similar to weed, okay, with what it does to you. So the British were basically getting the Chinese people high and doing what they wanted. So yeah, so we're going to help try and enforce some drug laws to help like get the situation under control, and it helps put us in China's good graces for trade business. So yeah, some good stuff there. We're getting more land on our continent, and we're also starting to get involved with international affairs now. All right. We're also going to see ourselves getting involved with Japan. Now, Commodore Matthew Perry, he is the representative of the U.S. government who sails into Tokyo Bay, and he has 4 ships. 4 very strong ships. The Japanese officials, they don't want to deal with him, and they basically threaten to attack the American ships. And yeah, it's not exactly going to go well because, our ships are more heavily armored and more heavily gunned. So yeah, it's not really going to work out too well. But we basically force our way into a trade deal with Japan, and it's slowly but surely going to push Japan out of the medieval period and into the modern world. We kind of just reach backward in time and pull them forward 200 years and bring them, things like the telegraph for faster communication for sending messages. We bring railroads. We're bringing steam-powered ships. We're bringing firearms, more advanced firearms, because they had muskets, things like that. But they didn't have what we had, which was like percussion cap and cartridges and things like that that are faster loading. So because of us forcing our way in to an isolation country like Japan, we brought them to the modern world very heavy-handedly. All right, so let's kind of sum some stuff up here. We are, with this whole Manifest Destiny thing, where we are expanding our power. We are seeing a lot of people moving westward to better their economic situations, looking for better opportunities by moving west, whether it is just by gaining lots of land and settling and farming, or by taking part in the gold rushes and trying to strike it rich that way, or setting up a business in these mining towns. We are going to see the beginning of the American oil industry in Pennsylvania, and it will expand into other areas like Texas. And we're going to also see us getting involved in some more international situations. Like we have the Mexican-American War, where we are going to gain territory in southwestern North America, and we're going to see a lot of issues that are going to continue with all that developing with slavery as an issue, what to do with the American Indians, what to do with people of Mexican origin with these new lands, and it's going to just keep building and building all of these things. Now, we're going to see a lot of international migrants, people immigrating to the United States from Europe, as on the East Coast, from places like Ireland and Germany. We're going to see a lot of people from Asia, a lot of Chinese people coming into the West. And the US government is having to deal with all of these new people coming in. And who do we let in? How many do we let in? We're going to see a lot of immigration issues taking part now. So we have to kind of revamp our laws to fit the modern situations that are happening. And in the North, well, in the South, we still have just agriculture. And in the North, the expansion of manufacturing is just jumping further and further ahead to where we become one of the biggest manufacturers of goods like in the world. And, the South is economically not really able to compete very well because, low populations and, just relying on the more archaic forms of making money and production by just using labor and not as many machines. So we're seeing even more of the divide growing, even with all this great expansion that's happening for the country in other areas. Because of the expansion, we're seeing the tensions between the North and the South continuing to grow because, what happens in those new territories? What happens with the people who are moving to those territories? How are they being affected by what's happening back here in the North and South on the eastern side of the country? So yeah, this is all what is playing a role in developing what's going to blow up into the American Civil War. All right, that is where we're going to stop for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will be continuing next time with getting into what really gets the Civil War started.